You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings.
Why are you listening to this show?
The podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
Are we going to get to the Shaquille O'Neal video, or we're not going to get to the Shaquille O'Neal video? You now have
Is it going to become the new Mike's dad's texts?
What?
Well, say it. Is it going to become the new Mike's dad's text? Okay. Is that what I said?
Got it.
Let's go to the Shaquille O'Neal video.
A lot
now,
of possessives. It's always tricky.
About heat culture.
Let's run that one back. I think I said it well.
Define what heat culture is. What does it really mean? Because you lived it, you won a championship here. What is heat culture?
I'm going to define it in 3 words. Discipline, motivation, and never giving up. If you remember in the finals against the great Dirk Nowitzki, we were down 0-2. The world knows I'm a terrible pick-and-roll defender. You know that. Right. But guess what? We're never going to give up.
We're
going to motivate ourselves.
I was shocked when Coach Sports said even you were out there guarding three-point shooters because everyone had to cater to things that weren't their strengths, right?
Yes, we did. So, you know, we had a great team, of course. But
3 words: dedication, discipline, and never giving up.
Amin claims Shaq does that on purpose in order to go viral.
Yes. Shaq, by the way, I saw him before the game, and he chastised me for not sticking up for him when he made his bowl point.
Look at me,
I said, why do I got to stick up for you? He said, because you have a show. So
shout out Oddball every weekday but Mondays for some reason. Also the Dan le Batard show, Stugotz.
Oh, that's nice.
What's with the you standing and Charlotte sitting thing?
I like to stand. She likes to sit down.
All right. That's a pretty simple answer.
What's with you sitting back there and dancing over here?
That covers it.
Shaquille O'Neal has gotten mad at me for saying certain things that I've thought are benign, and you say he does this stuff to go viral. They didn't have any fun with it there, that he was saying 3 words and then went more than 3 words. I have found him to be unusually sensitive. Also, though, more comfortable in his own skin than someone for that size than anyone I have ever met.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I believe that he carries, like I think of big men like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or whatever, going through life ornery, going through life because they've always been the oddball. They've been gawked at since childhood.
He said
it. Do you know anyone else Shaq's size? Like, do you have a bunch of friends Shaq's size and you're like, he looks the most comfortable?
7-footers is what I meant. Now, why would you guys laugh at Dan is Shaq's size? What's funny about Dan is Shaq's size?
Well, let's hear him out. He could be making a weight point.
Because you're unexpectedly large. You're a big guy.
You have a presence about you.
I thought you'd be like 5'11" when I met you.
Very wide.
This happens all the time. People that meet me.
I'll tell you what, I trust your free throws more.
Evidently, people who meet me think that I'm much smaller than I am. However, I don't believe it is fair to say that I am Shaq's size. Again, I can be hulking and fit in Shaq's navel. I am
sweaty.
Yes, I am. Yes, sweaty as well. Yes, as sweaty as Shaq, I will allow. But Shaq's size, I will not allow. Shaq's weight, I will not allow. I will not allow that. No, I won't allow it. That you've gone. No. Now you've gone too far.
He has lost a lot of weight.
He's not.
So have you, though.
Your feet are nicer.
Thank you.
Do you know that for a fact?
I saw Dan's feet when he was Fred Flintstone. Not terrible.
I was barefooted as the jester yesterday, too.
You were?
You were?
Yeah.
What? You're giving that away for free?
Yeah, everybody could have.
Would you like to talk college football?
I would.
Can I say one thing real quick about heat culture?
Yes.
Okay. The culture court, where, what? I mean, he's already laughing. Oh, my God.
She said this to me in the middle of a game, by the way.
Yeah. I'm staring at the side signage under the scorer's table, and it says, hardest working, best conditioned, most professional, unselfish, toughest, meanest, nastiest team in the NBA. And I was like, if I were a visiting team, if I were a player on a visiting team and I came here and I saw that, it would enrage me so much that I would play hard. Heat culture would work on me only as the visiting team. I'd be like, oh, you guys think you're the nicest team? Watch this. And then have like 50 points.
That's true. We're giving it away for free. Usually that's like in our locker room where only we can see it. Giving it away.
Putting the bulletin board material on the court.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's not wrong about that. It could backfire on you. It would be something that would piss people off. But since Mike Ryan mentioned, do you want to talk some college football? I'm assuming this is in reference to the foot show that.
Yes, the foot show.
That Jessica.
That's the internal name
Nice
for foot
name.
girls. The foot show.
Oh.
Well, when are we going to do that? Because the season's now over.
No,
and we
no,
still
it's still
don't have
going
a-
on.
Whoa,
We don't have
what
a
are
name.
you talking about?
No,
the
word.
season has just begun.
It's an excellent point. Not just bowl season, conference championships, obviously underway this weekend, but it's recruiting season. It's a portal season.
Coaching carousel season.
It's incredible right now. This is actually the apex of the college football season, and we, yes, have consulted with the talents who weren't super receptive but not hesitant for the Foot Girls title, and we took that information and we hired a very pricey consulting firm, and we've come back with a big open for Jess and Lucy's unnamed college football show that we will unveil this week.
I have not heard this yet. I do not give this my support.
Foot women?
I'm not giving it away. We'll all find out together.
I feel like everybody is rooting for Alabama for the first time ever.
I am an Alabama fan. I will
I've
admit,
never rooted for them more.
Chris Cody, you are absolutely right. I decided this year, you know what would be funny if Alabama won the national championship. It would be hilarious.
I just want chaos. I want everyone to win with one loss. I want Florida State to win barely, so they stay undefeated. And, oh man, I just want FSU to not make it undefeated. That's really what I want here.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Is everybody rooting for Alabama? Because I hadn't considered the idea of that. I really had not thought before you just mentioned it that would be a possible thing in my lifetime.
I just want, in the final year of the 4-team playoff, for this committee to have
the worst
the
time ever.
chaos scenario.
to piss everyone off.
Yeah,
they
and
haven't had to do it that much.
That's why I
if
want them
ever.
to do the thing.
They've been
Florida State out of there.
They've been bailed out, but you can kind of see these rankings headed into conference championship week, them plotting their escape route. That's all these rankings are right now, because
Putting FSU at 4 definitely is like, all right, if they win, they're in.
Yeah,
We're not going to make a hard choice.
you can already see by where the rankings are now that they're plotting for what happens if Bama beats Georgia and Texas wins the Big 12, but FSU wins and Oregon essentially erases their loss against Washington. You could see that this isn't about best team anymore. This is about CYA for the CFP.
Nobody thinks FSU will not get in though with a win, right? Like what if
I
they
think-
barely win? What if they look terrible?
I think they'll get in. I think what would be funny, other than Alabama going to the playoff, would be the Pac-12 once again doing the Pac-12 thing, which would be knocking each other out of the playoff entirely, because that has been what the Pac-12 has done for the last however many years. And this year, going into the season, it was like, wow, this is the most stacked Pac-12 conference we've ever
Colorado.
seen. There's some great teams like Colorado. There's legitimately though like great quarterbacks in this league. They're gonna have someone in the playoff. But then Washington pulling off the win against Oregon means that Oregon now a heavy favorite on Friday night, 9.5 points, I think.
It went
Winning
up. It keeps going up.
would mean that there's no undefeated Pac-12 champion, and it would be very funny if they got left out in the final season of Pac-12 and we were like, this is the year where they're finally going to have like a super competitive team in the playoff.
Put this on the poll, Juju, please. Is this CYA for the CFB? I'm confused. Forgive me. Forgive my CFP. Excuse me.
Playoff.
I'm legitimately confused about why that Washington line keeps going up. Are there injuries that I do not know about?
I don't know what's going on with Penix, and I don't know if he was just super emotional after the win over Wazoo. That could be it. There's not a lot of information, but it looked like they put a cloak over him. He was being escorted out of the stadium, off the field, because he couldn't see, because there was a cloak all over him. I don't know if he didn't want people to see him emotional or if he was hurt. He kind of looked like something was going on there. So the line would indicate something's up.
The other thing I think that is worth considering, though, is also just that Washington's red zone defense and their passing defense is not very good. And Oregon, since the Washington game, has just been an unbelievably unstoppable offense. And so having the Heisman frontrunner Bo Nix against a leaky defense is going to, especially on a neutral field, like, remember the first time that they played was at Washington, which is
it's a big part of it.
A big part of, they had a lot of home field advantage in that game.
But a 14-point swing, right? I don't like a 14-point spread.
It is a lot of it's a lot of points, right? 9.5 is a lot of points, but I mean, it is. In the first time they played, Lucy and I talked about on our unnamed college football podcast that like both of these offenses were playing really, really well, but Oregon had the advantage on defense. And Dan Lanning is someone that has coached defense before, and like you trust his defense. And I think that Oregon's only gotten better throughout the season, and actually losing to Washington, they've probably fixed some things that make them a pretty good contender going into the playoff if they do actually make it.
Would you agree with the notion that aside from a college football playoff spot, aside from the Pac-12 championship, this is also the Heisman Trophy on the line on Friday night with the two quarterbacks there?
It would appear that way, right? Because I just got my notification. I'm going to do this preemptively. Oh, wrong one.
Charlotte about to talk?
Okay.
Don't do that.
I'm sorry.
You know what?
I
I'm
feel
never
bad.
going to stop. I'm never going to stop
Keep
trying.
shooting.
As if you
Atta girl.
could.
Jordan Poole.
Jeremy Taché. Thank you, Mike. I pressed the wrong button because I didn't have my glasses on.
Shaq fingers.
Are you going to talk about your Heisman vote?
Yes, because he asked me about which way to vote, and
Sam Hartman?
because of that game.
Why did you just say Jeremy Taché?
Probably because it was I tell bad
he
jokes, but
tells
they're actually
bad
good.
jokes on purpose?
That's
yes.
my
Shout out Jeremy.
I do
On
that.
purpose. Wait. I think some of them he be
As
trying.
if we're the only ones who have bad jokes in this crowd.
Folks.
I have decided not to cast it until after watching that game, but I have been surprised that Washington keeps that the point spread would change that much from the first time they played. That home field advantage would essentially be worth 14 points if Penix isn't actually hurt. The point that Mike made about, though, the line being where it is, people know something. Is anyone else worried about the fact that Matt Rule is saying that a college quarterback now goes for $1.5 to $2 million, and in some cases $6 million? That's what Matt Rule is saying, whether it's true or not. That all of this stuff, this money, this amount of money, whether it's gambling lines or this amount of money, that you're putting this kind of pressure on kids. They're still kids. Like, I understand that they're famous kids and important kids, but when the professionalism seeps into the sideline and a kid is making his way off the field and Caleb Williams is crying at the end of his games, like, it's an awful lot of pressure to put on kids when you start, on top of everything else, you make the money skyrocket and you wonder how much gambling information is out there on whether a guy is hurt or not.
Well, then, like, we shouldn't put any of it on TV, and we shouldn't pay their coaches $10 million a year either.
Yeah.
They should be rich kids.
Folks, listen up. U.S. Cellular wants to help everyone get the gift of connection this holiday season. Already a customer? This applies to you too, because right now, new and current customers can get any phone, and I mean any phone, for free. Yes, free. Sounds like it's time to make the switch. Spread the holiday cheer far and wide this season with a new phone. Everyone can get the gift of connection at U.S. Cellular. Get any phone free today. U.S. Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com for details.
Dan le Batard.
What up, JT?
What's up, guys?
What
What's
you
up,
doing?
man? Good luck today, boy. If you know him the way I know him growing up, everyone knows to call him boy.
I come in peace. Don't do that. You just embarrassed me so much.
Stugotz.
Okay, guys, Nick Jonas is walking this way.
Oh, can we get him to say what's up?
We're gonna he's got the
I know exactly.
glasses
I'm going to say
Do we
that
have-
shot on 18.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah.
I remember trying to
Do we
that
have
4
Charles?
years ago.
Yeah. We're gonna get Barkley.
Hey, what's up, Nick?
Nick.
Good luck today. That shot on 18. My God. Whew.
Dog.
You made it weird. That time you embarrassed us.
Yeah, I
Mike.
did.
Yeah, boy.
This is the Dan le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Charlotte and Amin had to step out to do oddball every day except for Monday. They do it. It is unusual, but we brought in a big gun to replace him. Lucy has flown in to talk about the show that is not named Foot Girls, that is going to have now imaging, and it's going to have production elements. It has grown into something more popular. It has grown into something that people are listening to. They're looking for, because you guys really know your college football. You're really enthusiastic about your college football. This is something that has been lost in sports. Jason Kidd ripped everybody the other day, and Juju ripped us in the first hour. Can we just be happier and positive around stuff? And you guys, your enthusiasm for college football has been obvious to everybody. But Lucy, are you on board? Because it seems like Mike is strong-footing you two in trying to push upon you a show title that neither of you want.
None of this imaging. The name was not approved by Jess. I haven't seen it. It wasn't approved by me either. I don't know what we're getting into. I'm a little nervous.
I would just say wait and see. First off, I haven't tipped my hand here or my foot. I have not committed because I want you guys to genuinely be surprised by all the care this company has put in behind this great college football property. You got the knowledge. You got really charismatic talents. All you're lacking is brand awareness because we failed. We haven't named it. And we're going to just punch it up a little bit, and I think it goes straight to the moon.
And today we're doing that. We're unveiling to them. They are reluctant, and they have not seen any of this.
It'll be debuting on this week's edition of Footgirls. I mean, whatever we end up calling it.
All right, that seems they should have some sort of ownership over what we're doing.
They do. It is their show.
They should have some creative control, though, over how it is that it's packaged. Meadowlark Media does not want to force upon them creative constraints.
How about it's a game of feet?
We're
Hey, how about some literal ownership? Maybe we'll accept your title if you give us more equity in the company.
Just look. The company is helping work for you here. I'm just trying to help.
The program has gotten very popular again because their enthusiasm shines through.
We're just gonna punch it up, a little punch up.
Lucy is headed to the SEC championship game. Are you with Jessica on this? Are you now rooting for Alabama? Or are you trying to be an impartial Meadowlark journalist as you go up there?
I have never been an impartial journalist in my life. I am so rooting for Alabama. I want some chaos. Yes. We didn't have the chaos we deserved in the regular season. Not a ton of upsets. We deserve it now. Chaos.
Low-key been a bad college football season.
No,
not a bad season.
There's no such thing as bad college football.
It's been very chalky.
It's been super chalky, and if you're one that fancies upsets, this has not been the year for you.
Was that an exaggeration from you this weekend when you sent me a text saying that top 10 teams as double-digit favorites are 79-2 this year?
No, it actually got worse after the weekend. No, straight up. We're talking straight up, not ATS, but...
Sorry, Taylor, because North Carolina...
Yeah, the two were Clemson at the start of the season. You can maybe not even pay attention to that because it was a preseason ranking. But, yeah, UNC has the distinction then. If you discredit the preseason rankings, UNC has the distinction of being the lone L there. Which is uncommon.
It's weird. I expect college kids to be college kids. I expect them to not be trustworthy because... Or trustworthy on reliability because they're learning. They're going to college in order to learn, and I never expect what you just described for me. I expect to be surprised by results. I'm surprised that in 2023, I'm in a place where you guys are arguing that Alabama is the lovable underdog here that America is rooting for.
I think it just brings us the chaos. I don't want them to win it all. I want them to just beat Georgia so there's a lot of chaos. I'm fine with them getting in. I'm fine with them losing once they're in, though.
I disagree. I want them to win everything because I think that I reckoned with a few years ago after Alabama demolished Notre Dame in the playoff once again, although Notre Dame did cover 17-point spread. I realized Alabama is one of the only teams that I'm okay with winning it all because they are just winners. Nick Saban is a winner. Their players are winners. Their fans are winners. They just win everything. And I don't think I can live with myself, with college football, if Michigan wins, if Florida State wins, Washington.
We agree.
Oregon, they're fine.
They're fine.
Oregon, I don't know that one. But you get what I'm saying here. Ohio State, all of these teams that I know they've all won. A lot of these teams have won in the last decade or plus. But Alabama's the one team that I'm like, if Alabama wins, I just go on and I live my life because they win. That's what they do. They're Alabama, and now their offensive coordinator's Tommy Rees, and that also proves me right because I thought he was a very good offensive coordinator when he was at Notre Dame, and a lot of people didn't. And then guess what? Nick Saban wanted him, which I think already should prove me right. But if he wins a championship, double right.
Nick Saban wanted a lot of people.
It's the greatest rooting interest that any of us have around here, being right.
A small part of me wants Michigan to win just so I can see them get it taken away.
I didn't know where you were going with that one, but that would be
It's
very
weird with
funny.
Alabama this year, and Full Cast After Dark mentioned this after they lost to Texas, is rooting against them isn't as fun because we all agree the generational talent, the dominance isn't there. And it's a weird thing because they're right there on the cusp of yet another college football playoff. But people who observe college football all have reached a consensus. This is a pretty good job by Nick Saban because this doesn't look like the Alabama teams of years previous. So in that sense, when you compare them to previous incarnations of themselves, they are kind of scrappy.
I will say, if they do go on to upset Georgia, which, let's be honest, I don't think that they will. They're a five and a half points.
Alabama will come out to a 7-0 start.
You just said they're winners. They win. They only know how to win.
And then Georgia will be up 28-7.
I stand by that. What I want to say is that if they do end up doing something crazy in the rest of the season, Jalen Milroe's pass to Isaiah Bond in the final 30 seconds of the Iron Bowl this year will go down as one of the it already should, because it was watching that game and watching that play, like, it did something to my brain that I didn't know could happen anymore. I felt pure, like, ecstasy. Like, what an absolute insane way to score a touchdown in that game from 4th and goal from, like, the 31-yard line. He's scrambling. He can't find anyone. Everyone's double-manned except one guy in the back of the end zone, and he throws a dime, and the guy catches it. And Auburn fans around the world just sank their heads into their hands. It was an absolutely crazy finish in a series where there's been crazy finishes all the time. We're used to craziness in the Iron Bowl. It was a masterclass. What a play drawn up by Tommy Reese on that 4th and goal from the 31.
And you forgot the best part. Hugh Freeze losing in the process. How awesome was that? It was great.
Herbie and Fowler have been around a lot of college football, and we have the video right now that we can play of their reaction while they're in the booth in Gainesville at the Swamp, about to call FSU Florida, reacting to that finish.
I love like the
in
fake
the Iron
punches,
Bowl.
like this was awesome.
I had watched not just their reaction to that, but also the play, because the play was legendary. Jess mentioned something that people were double man. Here's a crazy thing about that final play. They gave Alabama, the secondary was 20 yards back, and yet everyone found a way to get beat deep. It was crazy. And also, that was like the third read Milroe made. He could have tossed it in the middle of the end zone, and he would have had 2 open receivers there too. The breakdown was epic and just so unexpected because of the distance. But
what was Hugh Freeze doing in the timeout? Like, how?
You have a prevent defense, and they found a way to get behind your defense. How?
He was writing his post-game speech already. He was like, I got his ass.
I feel like the more important question is, why do we have so many camera angles of Kirk, Herbstreit, and Fowler? There's there's one behind them,
Great point.
and then they show like this top left one that's not. Neither of these are shots they would use on the broadcast. So there's one behind them, and then they cut to like above them to the right. It's just like, how many angles do we need?
I believe that is the physical manifestation of the joy that you will get from Lucy and Jessica on a show that will not be called Foot Girls, because Meadowlark Media is a progressive company, and we will not force upon them something.
In the event that it is called Foot Girls, you're really tainting the jury pool at this point. It could be a celebration. And again, it's not about their feet, though they are lovely fans and you should subscribe to see them. It's about football. And they just so happen to be girls talking about football.
You mentioned that.
And if we just put those things together, you have the brand awareness that I'm talking about while totally manipulating an algorithm.
Can you play for me again that video? Because these are 10-year-old brothers. You rarely see adults in professional broadcasting positions where, ridiculously, they still make you wear sports coats to cover this stuff on television so you can be this credible. They look like 10-year-olds, and what I want to tell you about that play is I felt like I was on that play in the 1950s, because I was at the park with my dog, and I got into the car, and I went to the place on satellite radio where it was 24/20, and I'm like, let me listen to this, and they keep going backwards. They're backwards at the goal line, and now it's 4th and 31, and everything you guys just described, I'm listening to like a local broadcast. I don't even remember whether it's Alabama or Auburn. It's satellite radio. But what you guys just described in detail, imagine me in my car, because I sat there looking at my radio with my mouth open. And I'm like, how did that happen? How did he have enough time to do that? How did someone get open in the back of the end zone from 30 yards away when your entire defense has to be planted at the goal line? Like, I'm looking at it, and it's as if it had belched. My radio had belched a total mystery, because I'm like, these announcers are behaving as if that's something that should have happened based on what they're watching on the field. And I'm like, did Auburn just leave the field? Like, how did that physically happen?
Pretty much. I mean, it does remind me of when I missed the kick six because my dad really, really wanted to watch the kickoff of the Notre Dame-Stanford game.
Your dog must have been confused why you were staring at the radio with your mouth open.
Yes, of course my dog was confused.
I don't think he was confused at all.
Like, owner, we're at the park. Let's go.
I still don't get game of feet. I got to be honest, Chris.
It's a game of feet.
They measure in yards.
Yeah,
and sometimes with chains.
Game of inches.
Okay. And occasionally an index card.
The big tall. It's not the big short.
I miss her already.
Too soon.
I want to talk to you about something that Mike Ryan said about the ratings, because I want you guys to understand. You were talking in a different segment about how the ratings are calculated, and everyone's just sort of making it up. But I specifically wanted to talk to Lucy and Jessica about the fact that Fox is now touting that Big Noon has caught ESPN on the college on Saturdays. And I know the numbers are fudged and we can play with the numbers a lot, but I'd like to get into the bad math that a lot of people are doing, because the Fox show is coming after ESPN's Gameday. And I also want to get to that Elon Musk, Bob Iger video. Put it on the poll, Juju, at Batard Show. Whose side you on, Musk or Iger?
Kentucky Fried Chicken's 2 for $5 wraps are back. And they're even introducing a new mac and cheese chicken wrap. Are you kidding me? Mac and cheese in a wrap? Two of my favorite things in the entire world. That is in addition to the classic and spicy slaw wraps. Creamy mac and cheese, a hand-breaded crispy chicken tender, and 3 cheese blend, all wrapped in a pillowy tortilla. God, do I love a pillowy tortilla. Order ahead on the app and cheer on tasty goodness with KFC's 2 for $5 wraps. It's finger looking good.
Dan Batard.
That kind of thing. I love that sound. Is that a bassoon? What is that sound?
It's a tuba.
Is it a tuba?
I believe it's a tuba.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I would be very interested to find out.
Really?
Let's get a musicologist on. I think it's a bassoon.
I love woodwinds.
Yeah. Who do we know who's the music version of Ron McGill that we could have on?
I think it's a buffoon.
To hear that sound and to ID it.
Stugotz.
I mean, I heard that, and I think I was the butt of that joke.
That was Billy.
No. Prior to that, I'm going in chronological order here.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Keep up, Dan.
This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Jessica and Lucy have been out in front in telling me again and again that, Dan, this isn't your college game day anymore. I'm looking at it and I'm saying Pat McAfee's a star. That show needs to get younger. People are complaining about Lee Corso. They're not allowing him to age with grace on television. And when I say they, I mean people on the internet, but I also mean ESPN, because I don't know how you allow Lee Corso to age with grace when he's having difficulties with age and broadcasting, because this stuff speeds up. But they added McAfee, and McAfee's a star, and they're renting McAfee. McAfee made his own stardom, and they gave him a number of unusual freedoms that Disney is usually not willing to give. They gave him ownership of all of his stuff, and they're allowing him to curse on the air, and they're bleeping it. But they're bleeping it in a way that makes us wonder yesterday, well, wait a minute. If Aaron Rodgers is saying GFY and they're changing it to finger and they're not bleeping the finger, and I'm asking the question, wait a minute, is finger something that should be on Disney Air, or is the bleeper wrong there? Should it be on our air? Like, is that a word that should be bleeped? I don't even know. I'm pretty sure George Carlin's 7 words you can't say on television actually weren't 7 words you couldn't say on television. I think that he was just making those up as the word.
I actually don't think that they bleep them. They have the warning beforehand. And I've told you before, the one thing that I picked up on my intro to communications class is you could show hardcore pornography on cable television. It's not subject to the FCC. Those are just internal standards and standards that they'd like to honor with their advertisers. But if Chris Fowler says the F word during a broadcast, provided that it's not on network TV, they're not subject to any kind of FCC fine.
But the thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about, because Disney is a brand that is in some public peril that I think in our lifetime we have not seen before, where Bob Iger, one of the great CEOs ever in the history of business, who retired at the perfect time as if he knew the pandemic was coming. Perfect retirement, somehow. Right before the parks close in China, before the movie theaters have a total problem, he retires. And then he comes back. And now Bob Iger is in the middle of something that Bob Iger could not have expected to ever be in the middle of. He's being quoted, and he's getting in trouble for things like this. He says creators at Disney have lost sight of what their job should be, to entertain first, not to give messages. And he says that stories infused with positive messages for the world can be great, but that it shouldn't be the primary job. This is him reacting to losing money and being told that go woke, go broke, DeSantis. It's the pressure of it. And he's saying, look, I agree with you. Disney should be about just entertaining. And so they get McAfee and they give him a new set of rules. But I thought that would result in College Gameday getting bigger and better, more popular. I underestimated the allegiance that the viewer has to David Pollak. Made me feel a little more comfortable on Saturday mornings. He was there, and he's not Pat McAfee, but whatever. He fit with Desmond Howard, and he fit with those guys, and they like him. Now, when I'm reading McAfee can be very sensitive. I'm reading him, and everyone around him saying he's a good teammate. They all love him. They're all getting along with him. He is effusive. He is such a positive person. He is effusive in his praise for the people on that set. But now the numbers are coming back, and this is something that McAfee couldn't expect. I've seen his reaction to some criticism, and he is not enjoying. He's been popular all his life. He's been getting applause all his life. And now a guy in the media age who grew up on social media is hearing that, 90 people might be applauding, but there are 3 that are very loud who aren't applauding.
I actually don't think it has that much to do with Pat. I'm not going to make this a Pat McAfee thing. We were talking about all the different layoffs that ESPN has had, and they've affected other things. And we were talking about, it's even affecting Gameday. Yes, you have Herbie there, and you have Corso there, you have Desmond there. These are familiar faces. But over the years, you've stripped away Rinaldi, Wojciechowski. You've stripped
Pollak.
away Pollak is part of it. The Bear,
Chris Martin,
and the Bear isn't just someone that's making picks on the side, and it's not like you can just replace him with Stanford Steve, who's not as good against the spread.
Having a bad year.
But the Bear is I'm going to tout a producer here. The Bear was a longtime producer. Who do you think is picking the topics? I know. Do you think he's just a cartoon character? The format of the show, when you take someone like that, you're changing it. You're changing the emotional stories that make you cry in advance of a Purdue-Ohio State game. All that stuff starts going away. And now it's not just going away. Some of that stuff is going to Fox. You couple that with a big year for the Big Ten. You have them being on network television, which is a leg up on ESPN. And you have a recipe, especially entering the big game between Ohio State and Michigan, where Michigan fans are participating in an active boycott of ESPN's coverage because they think it's unfair. And you have the recipe for Big Noon Saturday putting up a big number.
To be clear, I'm not blaming McAfee. I'm setting up what's happening here in numbers that are hard to trust and narrative that is going to happen now that Fox states through its PR department, and it doesn't matter whether it's true or not. All that matters is perception. I always say perception is not reality, but when all you have is perception and fudge numbers, Fox is saying, we've caught College Gameday. We've caught one of the most popular shows in the history of sports television.
They want that out there, for sure.
Right.
I mean, it's not a surprise they're saying
that.
But also the noon game was on Fox, and I think generally people will just, I don't know how they measure the ratings because they're 3-hour-long shows, but people will just turn on the channel that they know they're going to watch the game on. So there could be a little bit of that happening. But also, like Mike said, there is all of this fan tension with Gameday because of Pete Thamel's reporting, and there was a weird thing that happened on Saturday where Des Howard, who went to Michigan, called out Thamel for not doing his report in front of the fans, and then Reese Davis was like, well, he's been getting threats from some lunatic Michigan fans. It was just like the whole thing was just a lot, and I don't know I can see why, if you're a Big Ten fan or a Michigan fan, you're just going to turn on Fox because the game's on Fox, and maybe it's nothing deeper than that, because I still think as a college football fan, like I never missed a college game day for like over a decade. Like that was every single morning at 8 a.m. Central or 9 a.m. when I was in college, I'd turn it on. Like I still think it's a superior product.
I don't think it's that hard to figure out what's going on with college game day, because it was a dilution by degrees until all of a sudden even fans of the show, and I am a fan of college game day and I still rate it over Big Noon, it's not as good. And I think what Iger was speaking to, you could read into the woke, and I'm sure that's part of it, but Disney movies are failing at the box office not just because they have diverse casts, it's because the movies aren't as great. Like that, you could maybe read into it and say, well, that's also part of subtly what's happening with some of these reviews. No, I'm exhausted by watching some of these formulaic movies that are just very purple and just harsh on the eyes and don't have the great stories anymore. He calls them creatives. They're Imagineers.
Elemental's good. I won't let you badmouth Elemental.
No, look, it's not all bad.
Is that the little blobs with feelings?
Yeah.
It was so cute.
It's not all bad. It's not all diluted. You can have outliers here or there, but just generally, you have focus groups tell you what works, and things become more important than telling the story. And I think you could apply that actually to College Game Day with their storytelling. It's not just talents that are gone, even though Rinaldi has a lot to say in the production of these things. Producers are getting scaled back. The thing that helps make the thing has been transitioned out of the company in many respects, and different things are being prioritized.
It's to your point. I think like this is the natural evolution of this College Game Day. Just like hip hop turned 50 this year. So now for the first time in history, we got 50-year-old rappers. Excuse me. So we got older rappers that are kind of insecure about still rapping, kind of don't want to do it. And that's what I think the audience of College Game Day is. They like the baseball guy. They like Stugotz and Greg Cody talking about they don't like the in-season tournament for some effing reason. Like, bro, it's not for you. Dare I say, it's for the children who watch TV and say, ooh, a cool court. I want to play on the cool court. I want to be that. And so I think that the natural progression of College Game Day, they don't have the same stranglehold over America just simply because evolution, period. Nothing Pat McAfee or nothing like that. It's just times change, bro.
I used to love I still love College Game Day. I still watch College Game Day. I think the thing with me, and like I definitely identify with more, I feel like I'm a 50-year-old man sometimes, but like
we're both 50-year-old men in Boulder, Lucy.
Yeah,
found that out
friends.
on Spotify Rap this year.
But I don't feel like I watch College Game Day and I really learn anything anymore. And that's what I used to love about it. Is like I would learn about these niche stories. What's going on with Virginia Tech football? I want to know. And it's become so much of a production, so much entertainment that I feel like the knowledge between like why I loved College Game Day, which is I want to just hear people really knowledgeable about the sport talking about the sport, is not there as much anymore.
I feel like Game Day's a Pollak away. Just bring back Kevin Pollak.
The actor? David Pollak.
Oh, David Pollak. Kevin Pollak would be good too.
Okay. What about Jackson?
He does a lot of voices.
Jackson Pollak.
Kevin Pollak. That would be a funny addition.
Yeah. Jackson would be great.
That is a $5 fine for you, Chris, on the
They're
name.
Pollak away.
It's also, Juju, a $5 fine for you for clearing your throat into the microphone. Also, people didn't notice, Lucy, God bless you, with a gargantuan sneeze into her elbow during that segment.
Didn't hear it. I sneeze like a cat, so you can't really hear it.
Put it on the poll. Does Lucy sneeze like a cat? I want to get back to what Jessica was saying, though, about what happened with Desmond Howard, because a lot of people said it was odd, but Desmond Howard, as a Michigan man and someone who's feeling persecuted like a lot of Michigan men are, took a journalist teammate of his and on air told him to get in the crowd so that he could feel whatever it is that he needed to feel around his reporting. That is Desmond Howard being a good Michigan teammate. That is not Desmond Howard being a good colleague at the time for Pete Thamel. Like that, he is supporting himself and the Michigan voice and being someone on behalf of Michigan on the air, but you say it's odd. Nope, an athlete is going to tell a journalist to go out there and face the music in defense of his identity and his school.
I mean, it's just an example of how, like, it's not that serious, guys. Like, let's all just take a deep breath. Like, I don't know if he was joking. I don't know if they're buddies and like joked about it afterwards. I don't know any of that. But it's just like if there are people actually giving this journalist death threats for just talking about like a sign stealing scandal with a guy who liked to refurbish vacuum cleaners, like we all need to just take a step back and relax, because holy shit. I love college football fandom, but sometimes we are just a little too in the weeds.
You cannot watch Michigan, Ohio State and say to me with a straight face, it's not that serious. Are you crazy?
Hey, it's Mike. Hut, hut, whistles, penalty flags, touchdowns, rah-rah. Love all that stuff about football season. But you know what I love the best about football season? It's camaraderie I get when I toast the beautiful white can that holds the key to making football amazing. I'm talking, of course, about Miller Lite. I make it Miller time every time it's football time, and I'm never left disappointed because it is the perfect beer to pair with our national obsession. From kickoff to the final whistle, you just can't go wrong with a Miller Lite in your hand. It's the only light beer with a taste worthy of football. What's the point of having a beer if it doesn't taste like, well, beer? Thankfully, Miller Lite checks all the flavor boxes, and it's only got 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12-ounce serving. This season, do what I do. Crack open a light beer that hits your taste buds so hard, you feel it in your heart. And you can scream touchdown and hoorah and all that stuff. Make it Miller time all season long. Get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. Visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.